This is one pattern where you can see that the front is smaller than the back. It's just a little bit of ease. Now, whenever you're playing with your fabric and you're pinching and you're pulling and you're doing whatever you want to do in order to have a good time with this, the goal is always to keep the grain lines straight. You have a vertical grain line and you have a horizontal grain line. And both of those grain lines, even the bias, have a mind of their own. So the goal is to keep the grain line straight while you are making little changes in your clothes. So this is a little pinch that you would put back. See how it gives you a little bit of room here? And that just presses out completely when you're working on your clothes, when you're pressing it. So this is the balance of your piece, and I hear all the time, how do you do this sleeve thing? It's like this big mystery. The sleeve is like an egg tipped forward. It's like, whoops, let me get this here. Yeah, there we go. It's an oval. So this is the jacket that falls straight. It doesn't pinch. The armhole crease follows the line of the arm. That's where you move. So you're moving here at your shoulder. You're moving here at your arm. So the reason why you can't move in your jacket is only because, well, for one reason, because the seam does not match the crease of your arm. Connie, can I get that black jacket over here? I want to show you the difference between a skinny sleeve and a straight sleeve on the actual jacket so you can see the difference between a straight sleeve and a skinny sleeve. All right, this is the classic jacket. This is like the Balenciaga jacket that I just showed you. This is your trousers. This is your vertical grain line that wants to fall straight. So this is the seam of your jacket. And if you wanted to trim off the grain lines in order to actually see that crease, it's all visual. Honestly, it's all visual. Take a look at the crease of your arm. If this jacket is not matching the crease of your arm and you need to change the size of it in order for it to do that, you can pinch it in the front or you can pinch it in the back. That will change the size of your basic piece. But the actual armhole must follow the crease of your arm. So on the lower armhole jacket, this is your classic jacket, you'll have the crease of the armhole stopping right here, and then the lower part is lower than your armhole, whereas on the seam with the high sleeve, you have a different kind of armhole. And you see that even though this is shaped forward, it looks like it needs to be pinched a little bit here, but wait until you put the sleeve on your arm's eye, and then you'll see if you need to pinch it, because as you can see on this side, you probably don't. You still need room to move. And so that's what this is giving you. But if you had actually too much fabric on the arm's eye than you wanted, what are the two things you can do? There's only two things you have to do: pinch and release. So you could pinch this, and then whatever you needed to do, whatever you pinched on the armhole, you would do exactly the same on the sleeve. Because for every action, there's a reaction. If you pinch here, your sleeve will be too big. So then you pinch the sleeve. It's really just that simple. You pinch, you release, and you realize where your body's moving, where the crease of your arm is, and your clothes will fit. Now, let's go see if we have any questions or, okay. Yeah, Tamara, so you have a forward shoulder. All right, so your shoulder is basically moving forward. All you need to do with the forward shoulder is allow for more fabric to cover the shoulder that's now forward. Probably your seam is going to be a lot more comfortable if you make it forward. And Yeah, the egg thing is exactly right. It isn't, your armhole is an egg tipped forward. And we've seen like so many designers who have like these armholes going everywhere, and they're like, why doesn't my sleeve fit? And I can't make a skinny sleeve, and no one can move in my sleeve, and everybody's having a problem with this. And I'm not seeing any eggs tipped forward. I'm not seeing any arm creases, and that's why people cannot move in your clothes. There's still another reason about why people cannot move in your jackets, but I'm going to go into that in just a minute, because the most important thing that we want to work with right now is the balance in the bodice of your jacket. A lot of people blame sleeves on why they can't move in their jackets, but most of the time it's that they didn't construct the body of their clothes first. So when you construct the body so that all of the green lines are in exactly the right position, then what you have is you have a jacket where the sleeves are meeting the crease of the body. The green lines are falling straight because remember, they have a mind of their own. Honestly, you cannot take those arrows on your pattern and twist them to make it work, because it won't. You can cut and you can pray all day long, but your fabric has a mind of its own. And that means the green lines must be straight for where your body moves. I'm sorry, let's see. What if your shoulder line is back, not forward? Yeah, Jinder, that's a good question. If your shoulder line is pulling back, just reverse the process wherever it's comfortable for you. This is about your comfort zone. There are no rules here except that you need to move in your clothes. So say, for example, your shoulder was very full in the front and really hollow in the back. Where would you need more fabric? Where would you need that little bouncing thing where your fabric has the ease to move? That would now be in the front. So wherever you see this curve, it doesn't matter where you see this curve. If you see it in the front, if you see it in the back, this is where your fabric needs the extra bounce. So you make the line, you split the pattern, and you give it the bounce. And if your shoulder is back and not forward, is there any way to set the mannequin for the proper arm crease? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. What you want to do is you got to find out where your arm crease is. I heard all these things all my life about you put the notch at the 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock, or you put the notch at this or that. The only place to put this notch, really, is where your body's going to move, as far as I'm concerned, because that notch is telling me where I need to move. Where I need to move is the arm crease. If the arm crease, for example, if your jacket is moving out here and you can't find your arm crease, pull it in. Pull it in the back, pinch, pull. Pinch, pull, and release. That's all you have to do. Now we found your arm crease. Now we've given you extra movement in the back. So you can always do this just by pinching and pulling the front. And I think I just missed another question, which is there a way to set the mannequin for the proper arm crease? Yes. Measure. That's exactly what we want to do. We want to measure. Where's your body moving? My body's moving here. Okay, this is my upper chest. That's as far as I would get with the measurements, because that's what works for me. I like to measure the upper chest at exactly where it's supposed to be measured, which is exactly where your body moves. If your armhole is lower, you need to tell or translate into the pattern that your notch is going to be a little lower, because your body will now move at a lower area. Does that make sense? I use my patterns for one reason. They're a diary and they're a journal so that I can recreate something. I don't like these things. I don't see them. I like clothes. I like fabric. I like to touch and pinch and pull. And that's actually what it's just what makes my clothes feel so good. So, and thank you, Tamara. So you have the armhole that's now, it's right here in your crease. So how are you going wrong with your movement? You're not. It's right there in your crease. And you've measured your shoulder, and you can see that your shoulder is moving forward or your shoulder is moving back, and you've added more fabric to the front or the back where you need it, and you're moving right here on your sleeve. Now, as I was saying, a lot of people blame the fact that they can't move in their clothes on their sleeve. I can't move in my clothes, it's my sleeve. It's probably your bodice. Because if your fabric does not follow the line of your body, your sleeves will not be comfortable either. And then you just create this humongous mess. I'm sorry, let's see what we have here. Does that affect your lift? You mean the side seam? No, you have got to add all the side seam that you need and all the sleeve seam that you need, because that's the only thing that makes sense to me. I need to move in my clothes. I have always needed to move in my clothes. And that's exactly what you need to add when your side seam is raising for a higher armhole or lowering for a lower armhole. Just make it comfortable. If your armhole is lower, your inseam on your sleeve is going to need to match this. Oh, thank you, Bonnie. All right, there are a lot of things you can do with this. But remember I said the pinch and pull? We've got a fabric here that has a mind of its own. It has a horizontal grain line and it has a vertical grain line. So here we have a horizontal grain line. Now, this particular jacket has a tiny shoulder pad. So look what happens when we put that tiny shoulder pad in there. This is now in balance. You always need to pay attention to your vertical line, which is right here, and your horizontal line, which is right here. I happen to love this jacket. It is an Italian Max jacket, and Max is my partner. What he did when he technically designed this jacket is he put the front on the vertical grain line, which is what you have always got to do. If you don't put this on the vertical grain line, guess what? It wiggles. And so you have your buttons and the front of your jacket sort of wiggling. I've actually seen this on the street. So the front of your jacket, unless you want it to wiggle, must match this vertical grain line. And then what he did was, in order to create this jacket to work with every bust line imaginable, he just basically cut the fabric right out of the front of this jacket and pinched it back together again. So you have a nice little bust line. And this bust line has been done in size 2 through 30. It's so flattering. And the reason why is because the grain lines are straight in the front. The side grain lines are actually on the bias, and then the side seam is following the line of the body.